Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your eternal hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC. And when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. Today, time is relative, as we kick off the trio of reviews we're tackling today by partaking in yet another Grail War with a twist in the first season of Fate Strange Fake. After that, we return to the world of the immortal Fushi to find out if the new age of peace he created is really all that he hoped for in To Your Eternity Season 3. Last but not least, we accompany our lovable elf and her two companions on the next steps of their life-changing journey in the second season of Frieren. So summon your friends and favorite servants to battle by your side. Make sure the treasure chest that has piqued your interest is not a mimic, and definitely don't pause the pod. We'll be right back.
Well, friends, put on your cowboy hats because we're going to America.
Yeah, I mean, this is twice in a row. Like last week was JoJo's. No.
That is true. I completely forgot.
We're not in San Diego, though. Where are we? I don't...
Snowfield.
Yes, the well-known capital.
The capital of American state. Okay, so apparently Snowfield is in Nevada. I had to go and double check it to make sure I was right. But apparently it is an actual place, though.
Interesting place to pick for a Grail War, but I don't know.
I mean, I think it was one of those ironically named places because Nevada is a lot of desert and...
Yeah, I was about to think, what's... No. I mean, Falios must have had a reason for picking that if it was him who did and not Francesca or whoever. We'll get to all of them, but yeah. It doesn't feel like... maybe because it's more of a remote town or whatever, and they thought it wouldn't be causing much hubbub if they did the Grail War there. Little did they account for Saber, I guess.
Much to their own surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, considering things kick off with a literal bang.
Yes. With several bangs, technically, because this was like a multi-part, preamble-ish prologue thing before the actual series hit.
Yeah, we had a prologue called Whispers of Dawn in 2023. Mm-hmm. Then we had episode 1 in 2024, 2025, depending on how the calendar falls for you, because time zones are weird. And then the show only started airing in 2026.
Yeah, so at long last we're here.
It was a weird timeline of events. Type Moon certainly likes to do their own thing. I guess the first episode was aired is because they always like to have something to show off for the start of the new year. They showed it off at like the tail end of 2024, start of 2025. Again, depending on where you live and how time goes. But yes, so a new Holy Grail War is emerging in Snowfield, Nevada, where mages from around the world summon servants, heroic spears drawn from myth and history, to fight on their behalf. However, this war seems to differ from previous ones. The organization behind it appears to have used data from the Huyuki Grail War for their ritual, resulting in strange happenings. Unbeknownst to most participants, this budding conflict is actually a fake Grail War. There exists another set of 7 true servants who are summoned to fight in the genuine Holy Grail War. One of these servants is a powerful saber class who saves the life of one Ayaka Sajo, his apparent master, after being summoned. With hidden agendas and unpredictable forces at play, the line between the fake and true Grail War becomes unclear, turning Snowfield into a dangerous battlefield. Thank you once again to friends of the show, MAL Rewrite, for that. So they didn't waste any time getting into this, and they also didn't waste any budget on this show because, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, who is responsible for this? A1 again, or?
A1 Pictures, indeed.
So they did Apocrypha, and I mean, before that, I guess, Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works, and Fate Stay Night, the other version.
Right, yeah.
I forgot what it's called. The one that released 3 movies. That was UFO Table.
Yeah, that was Heaven's Feel.
Heaven's Feel, right? Which I still haven't watched. I heard it's good.
Yeah.
And after, I guess after that, A1 took over mostly with Apocrypha, with the Fate Grand Order stuff, right? They were also responsible for that?
I don't...
Or was that someone else?
I am looking it up right now. Okay, they did a little bit of Babylonia. I think like some in-between stuff. That was headed up by, I am delaying for time, Cloverworks.
Ah, right, Cloverworks. Okay, so we had even more teams working on this. But yeah, okay, so A1 did at least Apocrypha, and now they're back for this. I feel like this is even a step up. I mean, Apocrypha looked mostly good, but this is on another level, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about Apocrypha, I had some issues with how parts of it were animated and parts of it looked. But, I mean, in the large part, it looked pretty good, but there were some parts I was like, and I feel like they probably took some lessons away from that, because this on the whole looks a lot better and a lot more consistent throughout. And that's the problem, with the consistency, I feel like.
Yes, and I feel like your even bigger gripe with Apocrypha was the story, right? And how it moved and everything, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's that too. And there's a little bit of that in this, because this story goes really fast.
That's true, yes. Where Apocrypha might have, I don't know, dragged its feet in certain parts, Fake does not.
No.
It moves 1 million miles per hour. And I mean, that, like you said, that brings with it its own problems. But if you're in for a breezy watch,
it ain't gonna be this.
Huh?
It ain't gonna be this.
I mean, it's breezy, like it's moving fast. There's a lot happening, but you might not necessarily be able to make heads or tails of it because it's so fucking inaccessible. So let me get this out of the way. Like, if you want to get into the Fate franchise or into the adaptations, I say start with, like, whatever you do, don't make this your first contact with the Fate franchise.
No.
Because it will be absolutely impenetrable for you.
Because this is like step 3 in a timeline of events. Like, this is a direct follow-up to things, because they are characters we've seen from before. They're like, oh, it's that person, they're doing that thing. And you gotta at least start with Fate Zero and then work your way through, I don't know.
El Malloy. Watch the El Malloy case file series.
El Malloy. You have to watch at least one version of Fate Stay Night to get the gist of that.
Right now, I feel like that is the thing that you could, keep for later. Because I feel like there are not that many references. There are a couple of small hints and very small cameos that relate to Unlimited Blade Works, I guess. But it's not as heavily relying on that. It is definitely, and neither is it relying much on Apocrypha. There are some mentions of character, like Shishigo, for example, is mentioned.
Our boy.
Some weapons to someone. Yeah, but, that could change in the second season of this, where it's like, okay, now you need to have watched these two because now these characters appear, whatever. Because this definitely feels like A1 is doing like the Smash Bros. Ultimate version of the Fate franchise. Like, everyone is here. Like, even a lot of references to fucking Babylonian Front, like Great Fate Grand Order, which we also reviewed. Especially when it comes to the characters of Gil and Enkidu, who there is no really any reference in any of the other adaptations to them. Gil is in all of them pretty much, but or at least in the biggest ones. But like their confrontation and what they're talking about and their relationship, that was solely relegated to Fate. To the Fate Grand Order adaptation. Yeah. And their last duel that they're talking about, everything, that's all in that. So you should have watched that probably as well At least Babylonian front.
I think this is the first, like, quote unquote mainline appearance of Enkidu. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, the stuff is there. You can get to it. The question is, where do you start? And like John said, I would say at least start with Phase Zero. Maybe also, if you want to get into the Gil and Enkidu stuff, also watch Babylonia. Definitely watch El Malloy, because one of the big central characters, I guess, or two of them are from that show. Like, I mean, Waver is from Fate Zero, so Fate Zero is still the most important thing. But he is also like the main character of the El Malloy case files, and also Flat, who is in this and has a very important part. It gets introduced there. So if you want to like get acquainted with him and like, who is that? Why is the show treating him as someone so familiar? Yeah, definitely watch that as well. So I guess if you want to get into this, you got some homework to do, unless you've already done it, which we, in reviewing this, kind of, I would say, gonna assume, or we won't get anywhere. Like, we're not gonna explain every character to you.
Yeah,
like,
we
hey,
can't
where
do
is this?
that.
Let's that.
We can't do that, or this talk would be 4 to 5 hours long.
Exactly. So, if you want to get a bit of preamble, we have reviewed the El Malloy case files. We have reviewed Fate Grand Order Babylonian Front. We haven't reviewed Fate Zero yet. Hey, we might still do that at some point. Who knows? Our 200th episode is coming up, and I was thinking about reviewing something older. That might be something we want to do. We'll see.
We did talk about Apocrypha.
Yes, we talked about Apocrypha, which at this point is not as important for this, but hey.
Yeah, but, you know, it still kind of touches on a couple things.
Yes, and I'm not even sure that this is directly in the same timeline as any of these, or if it's just a slightly different thing where most of these happen, but maybe in a slightly different way. Like, the show is not definitive on that.
Yeah, it's entirely possible it might have been a sharded off timeline from that. Like, never mind. I'm not looking at that. I was trying to see if I could find a simple, like, oh, this led to this or that. And I saw a big complicated chart, and we're not breaking that down right now. No.
Let's not do that.
Maybe in my own time, I'll look at that.
Yes. So, as someone who has consumed a lot of Fate stuff at this point, I would say this was highly enjoyable. This was a blast. Like we said, wholly impenetrable for people who have no familiarity with this franchise. But if you just want to watch a very cool action cartoon, maybe try it out. I'm just saying the story won't make any sense to you. Like, things are gonna happen and will not really be explained to you, and you're just gonna wondering, wait, who is that? Why? Who? How? Real servants? Fake servants? How many? What classes? What? He's a berserker. He was summoned as an archer. No, maybe he's an avenger. He's a berserker. Maybe he's not. He's like this.
This guy's a watcher. You're a what?
You're a what? Never heard of this. So yes,
I think they introduced classes for this Grail War.
Yes, I think this makes sense, because some of these I was like, I'm not sure we've had these, but okay, all right. So just trying. I mean, John already got the basics out of the way with the intro section and so on, and that's basically what is going on here. Like, there's this organization. I don't even know if they have a name, or if we've been given that yet. They, I think, want to mass produce the Grail War, or that's assumed, like having a wish device for everyone, power, whatever. And their head chief of staff, I don't know, Guy Faldius, is kind of one of the organizers of this, but he is aligned with a couple of other characters. There's this weird goth Lolita character called Francesca, and there are these illusions made that she has been in the Grail war before, that she has fought in the war before, that she has fought the main version of Saber, who is one of the central characters in the Fate franchise before, which is Altria. I still like the pronouncing Artoria better, because it makes more sense in regards to she is a gender-bent version of King Arthur.
Yeah, the fact that Altria is like the official name now is like, brothers, come on, Artoria makes more sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so we get thrown into this. There's another one. There's a police chief who's also Orlando, who's also kind of, I guess, somewhat aligned with them. And there's some rogue elements in there. There's a guy who is summoning one of the servants who's immediately turning against him because she summoned under the assassin class, has her own mission, is what she's trying to do. And the guy who summoned her is apparently a vampire who is crazy and fun. And we have a priest from the church who is like usually overseeing these Grail Wars, who's also very fun, called Hansa. He's a cyborg. And
Hansa might be one of my favorites. He's just
absolutely,
he's so great.
He is awesome. He's funny. He's doing real funny shit in his battle against the vampire guy. And we got to that, but yeah. So there are a bunch of awesome, colorful character. I guess one of the most central one, like you said, is Ayaka, who's this girl who is apparently been sent by one of the families most involved, who have always been most involved in the Grail War, by the Einsburns, who also are heavily featured in Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night, and it's not really clear why she was, like, how that happened, who she really is, and what her mission is. She doesn't really want to have anything to do with the Grail War, but she gets just thrown in there and by somewhat accident, I guess, summons the Saber class to this war. I don't know. Is he supposed to real one or one of the fake versions?
It's still not clear, I feel like.
Because we haven't gotten another Saber yet, right? So,
right.
Okay. So, but he is not, it's not, that's the important thing. He, for some reason, that was, I guess, the biggest surprise for a long time Fate Watchers. He is not Altria. He is a guy. And we, in the beginning, don't know who he is. For most of the servants, we don't know who they are. This is always kind of like the fun thing in the Fate series to try to determine, okay, all of these servants that are summoned to the Grail War by magic incantation and then are controlled through by their masters who summoned them to this age, to this war, are actual people from either fiction or from, well, it's assumed they're from history or myth. So it's like, hey, these people existed at some point. They're not completely made up, but they might, just from looking at it from our perspective, from our world, some of these might not have been real people, but they are in the myth. They are in the history books in a way in that universe. So they can be summoned, and so it's always fun when you see, oh, this is a saber, this is an assassin, this is an archer. Like, who were they in the history of this world? Who were they before? And I feel like the show keeps their identities. It drops hints in here and there in the beginning, and you can actually make assumptions, and I was right with most of them. I would say, for Saber, for example, who he was, and he's like, oh, okay, it's gotta be this guy, because he mentioned certain people that are affiliated with that person in real life, and if you know their names, you're like, oh, okay, then it must be this person, this king. And, but there are some characters where it's a bit tougher to find out. But by the halfway point, I feel like all of them are revealing their real names, or most of them anyway. And it's like, oh, okay, you just come out and say it, even though you're not supposed to, because that gives the other side power over you if they know it, or, other people if they know your name. Like, a name is powerful in this franchise. So,
Yeah, they're. I think the overarching term has always been like true name.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that this show was like at the halfway point. No, this is that guy. This is that guy. This is that guy.
I mean, certain characters very easily offer it up, and others just sort of get found out. So
yes, exactly. I mean, there's some character development reasons. Like there's the And if you don't want to know anything about the real names of these people in here and want to figure it themselves out, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk around it at this point.
Yes. Because it's also integral to some of the characters and everything. But I feel like one of the more interesting and important moments is where Saber, who turns out to be Richard Leinhardt, reveals their name to their master, to Ayaka, as a proof of trust, and that they consider them a real master, even if it's a fake Grail War and everything. And that kind of changes their relationship a bit, and also gives Ayaka a confidence boost, because she's very introverted. She's not into all of this. There are several reasons for this, which gets a big twist by the end of this show as well, of the season, where it's like, oh, okay, what is happening here? So that it was really nice to have that in here, when it's like, first you're like, oh, he mentions, hey, I hung out with this guy called Robert of Locksley. Robin of Locksley. was like, okay, all right. It's not that hard to determine who you are.
I wonder.
Yes. So, and then we have Heracles in this as well, who gets summoned under the, I guess, first as Archer, then as to get turned into an Avenger or something like that.
Yeah.
Mafia Dawn. And a couple of other ones that we're familiar with. Francesca's identity, which I won't reveal here at this point, is really interesting, because I don't think she has participated in any of the Grail Wars that we have watched until this point. But she might have been in the third one, I'm not sure. But she's definitely affiliated to a character who appears as a servant in Fate Zero. So that's interesting. And also the way she appears and what servant she summons is really interesting. Like that's a unique twist. I don't think we've had this before.
No.
Like someone pulling that out of their ass and be like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and this is now my servant. It was really interesting. Like I like that the show did something unique in that way. So yeah, what is trying to compress this as much as possible, because this is the first season review. And trying to keep it somewhat spoiler free, because if there's a second season, we're probably definitely going to review it. What is happening? Like what is the ebb and flow of this? Like just the basics.
You want me to compress this?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you covered a lot of the big stuff.
Like we have, let's start with our factions. We have Ayaka, or our main factions. We have Ayaka with Saber / Richard. We have Flat, who is affiliated with Waver, who the way he enters this tournament is amazing.
Yeah, so Flat just sort of shows up with a servant, okay. And Waver back in London is like, what are you doing? I told you not to go to America and do these things. And I forget who's speaking to him says, interesting. Like teacher, like pupil, huh? And Waver's like, never mind. I guess I can't really say anything about this then. Because I sort of did the same thing several years ago.
Exactly. Flat is just, he adores his master, and I lost my shit when he used his nickname in like when he tries to get him to convince him to let him take part in the Grey War, and he calls him Big Ben London Star. Like that was good. Like that got me. So and their conversations in general are great. And yeah, so he enters, he gets Jack the Ripper, which Gets a unique spin on it. Like they're making him kind of a good guy in this, which is interesting choice.
Yeah, not sure how I feel about that, but
me neither.
But he's also like a master of disguise, so he can do a whole lot of things.
Yeah, that is really becomes really interesting in regards to his power set and what they do. Like, there's this cool scene later where Flat and him infiltrate the police headquarters, and it's like there's some really nice trickery there that I appreciated. That was just really cool, seeing like the wide array of that power set, and then later in the final big fight of the season, we have a couple of things of that as well that are specific to his power set and his character and everything, and that was really unique and interesting, and it kept the fights varied, and so it gave us some neat surprises when it came to the back and forth in the fight. So I really liked Jack's power set there, and together with Flat and how they set it up and everything, it was really cool. Did you think so too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, even though it still leaves kind of a weird taste in my mouth, it at least makes the character interesting to, see what goes on with him.
Yeah, the re-characterization, the retconning is a bit weird. It's like, I don't even know how they try to explain it. Like, they completely gloss over, hey, I just murdered some hookers. That was my thing, bro. But now I'm kind of my own man. Whatever. It doesn't really, like, they don't really talk about that. He's just a guy and was considered a menace back in the day. But maybe he isn't. Maybe it was just foul play or whatever. So don't take it too seriously. Just to not get offended. But yeah, it was interesting. He's basically like, I'm an accumulation of a bunch of different people, I think is how they tried to explain it. There never was this one Jack the Ripper, and I'm just a creation of all of these myths about my character, and that's what you summoned. I think that's how they're doing it. So whatever he summoned, he's not really a real person. He's like kind of a vision, a mosaic of all these different myths about Jack the Ripper or something like that. So,
and I guess that kind of works for what it is.
Yes, and I mean that's kind of true for a lot of these characters, because it's like there's not necessarily a clear definition of who that character was. Like, there are a lot of liberties taken with, at least for the characters that really existed to a degree. Like, there's summoned in the fake caster class is an author, who I first think was Casanova, but that's not him. And when they reveal who he really is, I felt like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense, but I think they also took some big liberties there for that character. So just take none of this too seriously, please. Just have fun with that concept and just accept that is everything you're going to see is an interpretation of these characters from myth and legend and history, and they're not supposed to be like clear-cut historical accurate versions of these characters. Otherwise, they wouldn't be all able to fight in this weird battle. And I don't think that Richard Lionheart was able to turn every weapon he touches into fucking Excalibur.
Oh, yes, he could. Come on, it's written in the history books.
Though I love that characterization, that he's just such a fucking King Arthur fanboy that he's so mind over matter that he can just say, no, every sword I touch is gonna be King Arthur's sword, and I'm gonna shoot lasers from it.
That is a heck of a power, though.
Yeah, it's like it's big theater kid energy.
In the most literal sense, considering he destroys the theater at one point.
Yes, absolutely. But he's fun. Like, he's into rock music immediately, which I appreciate. So, like, this version of Saber, I really, really liked. And I liked Nero in Apocrypha, which was also not Altria. So that was a fun character, and I like Altria, but we have seen her many times now, and I think this incarnation is refreshing, and it's nice, and there's still a connection to the most well-known version of Saber, and hey, there's actually more like to that they actually do with that, which I really appreciated. There is a flashback later in this season directly to my favorite, probably my favorite Fate Zero episode.
Yeah.
Where I don't know. I don't think it's Francesca. I think it's Philia, right? Who does this? It might be Francesca or Philia. I don't remember who does this, but they're confronting Richard. They're confronting Saber with the past, with the Fourth Grey War, and that conversation between Saber back there, which was Altria, Gilgamesh, and Ryder, which was Alexander the Great in that war. And they have, like, in Fate Zero, this great conversation about what it means to each of them to be a king. Like, how do they define kingship? How do they define being a king and ruling over people, and what is the most important to them? And they all have different definitions of that. Gil is the dipshit version because he is the most self-obsessed person and in the universe, which is fun in its own right, and it always has been because he's just such a giant piece of ass.
He is purely in it for himself.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, the fun thing is he gets summoned in this war by a servant who benefits from that, because she's let's say she's very devoted to her mission of reclaiming the land for her people and everything, and is very, like, well-mannered and everything, and treats Gil the right way, which of course he appreciates, otherwise he would have immediately killed her. But he, with the way he acts and everything, kind of has a positive effect on her and how she looks at life and everything. So I feel like that even a dipshit like Gil can do good for certain people. And I feel like he had a bit more of a positive connotation already in Babylonian Front. Not so much in Fate Zero and in Fate Stay Night, but in this, I think he does. And yeah, so we had this have this flashback to the conversation between him, between Altria, and between Alexander. And there is, like, this thing where she tries to throw him off course by showing him these flashbacks. First that conversation, and then how the Grail War in Fate Zero ends. Because, guess, big spoilers for an old show, Altria kind of loses. Like, she cannot realize her dream because she gets abused by another character to destroy, like, forced to destroy the Grail, which backfires incredibly. The ending of Fate Zero is legendary in regards to what a mindfuck it is, and how everything escalates really quickly and really badly. So I feel like they try to use this, or the person who's showing this to Richard is trying to use this to throw him off his game and trying to sway him from his admiration for Altria. But that kind of doesn't work. Because, like, I don't even know how he explains that that his conviction is unwavering in the face of this, but he is like, no, this also is why I like her, because she's this is why I like this is why I admire her. She's also fallible, she's also human, and she isn't perfect, and that it doesn't matter to me. I like all of this character. I like all of this person. I admire all of this version of a king, with all the flaws and all the imperfections. And you only boosted my conviction by showing me this. Like, you made me more devoted to that person, and that was amazing. I really liked that. So, and I guess that also kind of works with his relation to Ayaka and everything. I don't know if his confirmation who he is comes before or after that, but it works it fits into the flow of that.
I think it was before. I think it was. Because he makes a big show of himself after getting arrested. Getting arrested by Orlando Reeve and his crew.
Yes. Yeah, another character that is really interesting. Like, pretty straightforward. Like, he assembles this police force and gives all of them, through the power of a servant, through the power of caster, all of them have these super weapon superpowers called noble phantasms in the Fate universe. Like, basically either weapons or special attacks, depending on how they manifest, how they are characterized and everything. Usually it's weapons with special powers. And he wants to deliver his version of justice with their help, whatever that means. So yeah, he is in this, and there's this cool fight. I think it's pretty the first real standout fight in this, where he fights Jester, the vampire, the dead apostle, and who makes kind of short work of these of his crew. Like, the police force is not that powerful.
Yeah, because dead apostles are apparently invulnerable to noble phantasms. So, oops.
Yeah. What does he call the police force? Clan Catalan or something, right?
Clan Calatine, yeah.
Calatine, yeah. So, but there's this. Then Hansa joins, and the fight becomes really fun because Hansa and his cyborg powers are really cool, and for some reason, he has the Yorhar with him. I don't know, from fucking Nier Automata. I don't know why his ladies, like his assistants, look like that, but it looks cool. And so that is a standout fight. I really like that.
I just find it so funny that Hansa tries so hard to hide that he is so much cybernetic, and everyone just points it out so easily. It's like, yeah, okay, yep, that's me. Just eventually just gives up. It's like, yeah, I'm mostly robot. Yeah, okay.
yeah. And like I said, he's one of the most fun characters in this. He's just very loose, and he just the way he talks to the other characters and doesn't take all of this too seriously is just a fun. All his dialogue is just really, really fun. So then we have Archer / Avenger, who gets summoned by this mafia guy, but who's also working together with Falius and with Francesca and a bunch of other. Like, I can't go through all of them, but then once the real servants that get summoned, which is the end goal for this, apparently, get summoned. We got a really big character cast. Like, we get an additional writer. I think we get an additional caster, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. And there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, because we start with Orlando's caster, who is also big theater kid energy, so he makes it in very nicely.
Yeah, he has really, like, his power set is like that he can basically rewrite reality to an extent. That's how he's able to give Clan Calatin all their noble phantasms and everything. And that comes also again into play in the final fight of this. So
yeah, I interpreted it more as he can basically rate truth to power in the most literal sense.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's really cool. And like I said, there's a bunch of twists in the final fight in this that especially benefit from his power set, and the Clan Calatin has a really cool moment in that as well. There was like one of these fuck yeah moments. It doesn't amount to much, but it's still a cool moment.
Yeah, it's still awesome.
Yeah, so I liked it. So
we've got Sigma, who was recruited by Francesca and Faldeus, and he's got some stuff going on. He can summon familiars. Yeah, he's a child soldier. He can summon familiars. He's kind of just following orders for most of the story, but oh boy, things happen. I don't think we can really get into, but
yeah, he takes he endears himself much more to us the way he handles certain people at the end of the season. Because like there's this like this important character, a girl that is in a hospital bed for most of the show, and who seems to have summoned like this dark, weird cloud or whatever power that infects things and everything. And most of the fight of the final fight takes, I guess, part in a version of her consciousness at the end, or an illusion she created, something like that. And her backstory is really harrowing and everything, and fucked up, and there's a really, really tough moment to watch at the tail end of this, but it also, like I said, gives Sigma a reason to be damn right to be that kind of person. Glad you did that.
Yeah, because it's crazy, because he starts off like this very flat, not that flat, but a very flat sort of stoic character, and then as we get to know him, we get to see him, and then the way things play out, it's like, okay, no, you're also really, really cool, actually. So
yes, exactly. He has quite a lot of nice character development in this. Jester's also interesting, though he doesn't get much character development. He's just there as an additional antagonistic force who's lusting after his servant, but his servant doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah, that's...
Assassin is really interesting at this, because she is summoned and immediately kills the person who summoned her without knowing that it's a dead apostle and that he will come back to life. But she is in this to destroy the Grail War, basically. To take revenge on all the masters who toyed with everyone that was summoned into her role before her and everything, and made them do things they didn't want to do. And she has a rightful grudge, and I like that. But she's not unreasonable or anything. Like, she's not like this rabid force that is going around and just killing anyone. She picks her targets and everything, and she even pretty quickly has the ceasefire agreement with a bunch of the other characters. Like with Ayaka and Saber, I guess, and with Flat, I guess, down the road, though he's a bit aside and later lines up with Orlando. I don't even know if he's part of their ceasefire, but Sigma gets also roped into that, and that was really interesting. And so we have a bunch of factions that accumulate around each other at a certain point, and then get all roped into this big giant battle where I guess the main opponent is Archer / Avenger Heracles, and they have this big fight against him, and then that gets extended later out once it's revealed who that little girl really is, who her servant really is. And there's another character who gets thrown into the mix, who introduces herself as Philia, and I'm not going to give that away because it's one of the biggest spoilers, I guess. But who she really is, let me just say, if you've watched Fate Grand Order Babylonian Front, you might have a guess who that person is. And again, this is why I'm saying it might be valuable to watch that show as well, because I don't think we've seen her in another thing before, aside from that. So
no, yeah, I think she's just part of that story.
Yes. So otherwise, when she declares who she is, you will be like, who? And we were like, oh fuck, oh shit, okay, problems. So yeah. Again, this is like the everyone is here Smash Bros. Ultimate version of Fate, where it's like, hey, you should be familiar with some of these characters. Not all of them, because some of them are new for this, like Richard has never been in a Fate thing before. I think the real rider servant, who I think is Hippolyta, has not been in anything before. So there are a couple of new ones.
I mean, some of these are new to the anime adaptation. Some of them have shown up in FGO. So,
Yeah.
So, new asterisk.
Yes. But also, like, I feel like those that are new, you don't necessarily need to have watched anything else to know who they are, what they are about. It gets clarified why they're fighting, who they're fighting for most of the time, and the other characters just tell what they're about most of the time, for most of them anyway. So it's fine for those. Again, probably should watch. Definitely watch Fate Zero. Or you should watch El Malloy, and probably also should watch Fate, A Grand Order, Babylonian Front. If that's too much for you, I don't know what to tell you. You can try to watch this without having experienced any of these other shows, but it will be, I think, a tough pill to swallow in regards to making sense of the story.
It will be a lot.
Yes, exactly. But hey, if you've watched these, it's a lot of fun. There's so much stuff happening, incredible action scenes, funny characters, really, like, I think one of the most standout characters, and I love how much he's featured in this. I liked Flat already in the El Malloy case files, but I think he's in more of this than he was in that show, and he was already fun there, but he's really fun there. Like, he has some of the funniest moments in this, just in general. His exchange with Jack and with Waver and with some of the other characters. He's just so matter-of-fact about everything. He's just like, yeah, I just want to talk about things. I'll put all my cards on the table. So yeah. And there's also a big thing, the twist relating to him at the end of the show, which I hope there's got to be another twist to this, because otherwise, I will be quite upset.
I don't want to go into it, but I was just like...
Yeah, exactly. But I will always remember him strolling into the police headquarters in that inconspicuous cowboy outfit. Incredible. What a character. He's so fun. There's a bunch of characters where I wasn't even sure if they've been featured before as well. Like the guy in that weird side dimension with the telephone and whatever. I don't know where he was from. And there were some characters, I think like Lord Vandalstam. I wasn't sure anymore if he was featured in El Malloy. I think so. So he gets mentioned later on. But again, the most important ones appear in the shows that we mentioned, and you should probably watch these. But outside of them, outside of that homework, this is just a really fun show with great visuals, great production values. Savano on the soundtrack is always a blast, and I had a really fun time with this, John, and I'm really looking forward to the second season. How do you feel about it?
Oh yeah, like just. Give it to me now. Well, maybe work on it and make it, as good as you can, but give it to me now.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the same. I hope A1 will knock it out of the park with the second season of this as well, whenever that is coming.
I mean, like I said, they came out swinging from the first moment to the final on this show. Like,
yeah. So, yeah. Super, super fun. Just a bit of work to do if you haven't already watched the other shows to get into it. But this show was definitely a trip worth taking, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can watch it on Crunchyroll. Looks like it might be on Prime Video, depending on where you live. But this is, it's at least a very easily accessible show, as is pretty much most of the other related stuff required viewing that you should probably check out before watching this. But yeah, this is one of the definitely more interesting iterations of the Grail War, and definitely can't wait to see more of it.
All right, yeah. It's been a while. I think we both were pretty hot on season 1. We both had very mixed feelings about season 2. Like, the story was still interesting in parts, but the pacing was really weird and off at times. There were some weird tone shifts. It became very goofy in parts, especially relating to the character of Bon and his family. And the animation quality did take a nosedive after switching from brain space to drive.
I still have some mixed feelings about this, but we'll probably get into that.
About season 3, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Season 3, again, just to get this out of the way, is again a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Different though, in different ways than season 2. I feel season 2's main problem was, aside from its lack of focus in certain regards, which season 3 also has a big problem with. I think that's its biggest problem. The season 2 just had the production value problem, because a lot of that is a lot of that show is a big battle, like in the second half of that season in this town where they're trying to defend it and destroying the bad guys in the show, the knockers, once and for all. And that just had to look really good. It didn't. And also we took a lot of time in a particular age, which wasn't really the case for the previous season of To Your Eternity. But for some reason, the second season didn't take that much time to develop the characters more that were added to the cast, and that we definitely spent much more time with than we spent with the characters in season 1. But a lot of these characters were not that interesting, or we didn't spend enough time with them. That is also kind of still the problem in season 3, but gets better by the end, in my opinion. That is the general thing I would say about season 3. I did not gel with this in the beginning. Like, the first half was really hard to get through at times. I felt like I didn't know what the show wanted from me. I feel like it didn't know where it wanted to go. It made some weird statements. It put some really weird characters in this. And I feel like after, let's say, the halfway point, it got better. It got interesting. The pacing ramped up a bit. It felt like, it put some more interesting character beats in there. It developed some of the relationships. It focused more on what it should have focused from the beginning, which is, hey, here's this immortal. How would Fushi deal with not having a real mission anymore? How would he decide to live his life? How would he decide to support the people in his life, even if they decide that they maybe don't want to be in this direct vicinity anymore? Or maybe not even be with him for all eternity? Like, how does he deal with the fact that he might be alone again and stuff like that? All of that comes more into play in the second half of the season. It does not in the first half. So, just to set us up here, after Fushi did the big fight in Renlin, he has a plan to connect all people, like grow his roots through the ground over the entire world, or at least the country that they're in, and try to connect everyone, or to everyone. And basically through that tries to create a peaceful era, because the world hadn't really known that up to this point. And he thinks like the main problem for the people he got to know, the people who died, he made friends with, and so on, is that there is no peace, that there's always war, there's always strife, and eventually he will always lose the people he cherishes. So he decides to basically create a world of peace, which it seems at the beginning of this he has kind of achieved. After waking up, after I don't know how long the time was even between season 2 and 3. Like, how many years did we jump into the future? I know Fushi at the beginning of this is now like 800 years old, but I don't know how old he was at the ending, at the end of season 2.
I mean, geez, I don't know if they ever actually explicitly say, but I mean, it's been quite some time, considering now the story is in like pseudo-modern era. Yeah, pretty much. It's modern day. It's like the world we know, and which is of course wholly unfamiliar to Fushi. But he wakes up there, and basically gets
pretty quickly realizes, hey, this is the world I wanted. Everything is so fun and peaceful. There's so many new interesting things in there. Like, I don't know what he has there. Bubble tea. It is really, really enamored with bubble tea. And yeah, he just tries to, at this point, he decides to bring all his friends back to life and have them live in this peaceful era as he promised. Doesn't really think about how he's going to introduce them to that, where they will appear, which causes its own set of problems. But
why would you give that any thought?
Yeah, but which gets kind of resolved, at least to an extent, pretty quickly by him making friends with a character from the resident high school occult club, even though one of their members insists it's the handicraft club. But I guess the somewhat president of the club, Yuki, who is very loud and very, very, very special.
Yeah, you know what? He means well.
He means well, yes. And he has some moments later in the show where it's like, okay, you actually have accomplished something here, and you're not in here just to annoy me. So that's nice. But yeah, he makes friends with Fushi and is, of course, completely obsessed with Fushi because he's into occult stuff, and Fushi's legend exists in this world, is part of book, is part of a religion, and so on. So he is familiar with it, and he immediately recognizes, oh, he's that monster of myth that can change shapes and so on, and who is basically responsible for the current state of the world and so on. Mm. So he brings him into his family. Fushi brings all his friends along, and they all live in this giant house. And Fushi remodels it a bit, I guess, and makes it bigger. And yeah, so they live there with Yuki's sister and his grandpa and everything. His parents are always on travels for their job or whatever, as anime parents do. Mm. And then they hang out there. And so this setup alone, in my opinion, would have been interesting enough. Now we have these people from different ages, like basically thrown into the current time and trying to adjust and trying to live a peaceful life here. And, you know, all of this comes with a problem, like them attending school, them trying to find a job, that, you know, maybe not being able to do what they can do anymore. Like Kai can't just forge swords anymore. He gets arrested for that shit. Like, you know, all that stuff. That could have been, like, each of them having one episode and focusing on their troubles and so on, and seeing how Fushi tries to help them with that, how they, through that, he learns more and more what it means to be human, which he has still the most problem with this throughout the season, like relating to other characters, empathizing, trying to really finding out what they need, what they want, how he can really help them, aside from doing the quick fix that is in front of your face, right? Or listening to what a little kid tells him what he should do and stuff like that. And, you know, that would have been, in my opinion, really the most interesting thing. And we get that partially in the second half of this. And this is, like I said, in my opinion, the strongest part, where we really get into that. There's this moment where Fushi realizes, oh, all these people that are supposed to be happy, that was my promise to them, that was my wish for them, bring them here so they can be happy, because they didn't have a happy life before that. It was marked with tragedy and everything. Now I brought them here. They're supposed to be happy. They're not, for some reason. Why is this not the case? How can I help them? What can I do? And all of that was really interesting, in my opinion. Like him figuring out, okay, maybe it's better for me to be more hands-off. I can't force all of this. I just have to learn to live with them, live by their side, and then maybe support them by living with them, and not trying to be this omnipotent being that can create everything, do everything. Just try to be there for them, support them in a way that makes sense for another human to support them. And that will be the biggest boon to them. And he kind of goes through that. That's one of the big things and character development things in this season that he needs to achieve and that he needs to accept and understand. And he gets there. And it's just like, it's a pretty shaky road, but I feel like that is one of the most interesting things the show does, and one of the most emotionally rewarding ones. How did you feel about that part of it, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's all that, and there's
We get to the other part.
Fushi just trying to learn to let people live their lives how they want, and learning how to let them go and do what they need. But, you know, that's definitely one of the big emotional cruxes of the story. But, you know, he also wants to be there to help everyone all the time. And these two feelings are just so at odds with each other in his head. And there's so much of the story where he's trying to reconcile both of those feelings. And I feel like that's probably the most interesting part of the story of this season. Everything else just feels sort of ancillary.
Yes. The problem is the ancillary stuff kind of takes the most, like, time in this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, but getting again to what's interesting, to get that out of the way, like what you just said, yes, all of that is great. And also his conflict of, he expected once he brought all these people into the current time that he would be able to live with them forever. And the thing that scares him the most is that might not be the case, that he might be at some point alone again, not have his friends around him. And to actually figure out what he wants to do. Does he want to be immortal himself? Does he want to become a real god at a certain point? Because that's an option that is offered to him due to reasons. We'll get to that. And he has to figure all of that out. And he has to do that without neglecting, actually, the people in his life. He, most of this first half of his, he's hell-bent on a mission that he feels like he needs to accomplish. And that kind of alienates him from the characters in his life and what he really needs to do, and is absolutely not to their benefit. And he's just quickly brushing everything else aside because he's so fixated on this other thing. And once he actually gets to the moment where he realizes that, and then starts to figure out, okay, I need to do this instead. I need to spend more time with the people I love. He doesn't even, that's another problem. He doesn't really understand love to a full degree. I mean, the other big character who talks about this in this season also doesn't.
No.
But, you know, and that's a problem that they have this connection with each other, that it relies on each other, I guess. But, the people he cherishes, to spend more time with them, to be there for them, and to actually give them what they want, even if that entails struggle for them, even if that entails pain for them. As one of the most important characters in this still, Tonari, who was with him since season 1, phrases it's our pain, it's our struggle, so it is important to us. And by taking all of that away, you kind of lessen our way through life, and you lessen our agency, and make it your own. And that's kind of not what you're supposed to do. If we ask you to do it, that's something else. Like if we say, hey, we want this, then that's fine. But don't try to force your idea of what we need to be happy on us. And that is kind of the big, I guess, statement on the one side of the show for Fushi. And that is put in contrast with the other big story part in this show, which is the Knockers, who, shocker, they're back.
Oh no, who could have seen that coming?
I mean, honestly, John, I was kind of giving the show the benefit of the doubt and hoping they would not return, because when...
That would have been more interesting if they didn't.
Yes. What was his name? Kuaku or whatever? The guy who, from the Line of Fire, is the bad guy in most of season 1 and season 2, who merged with the Knocker. His bloodline, the Guardians, are inheriting their Knocker basically through the generations. And he had one, and that led to a big problem. that everyone saw coming in the second season, where it's like, just get rid of it, fuck, this will end badly, and it almost did.
What do you mean? It was the best choice. God, Kahaku.
So he kills himself at the end of season 2, with the knocker still in his arm, and I, for some reason, expected that to be the end of it. The problem is, we at this point didn't really know yet how knockers really worked, like how the transference through the ages and everything worked. Like, it turns out they're actually also kind of immortal. They get sent when they die, they get sent to paradise, but they can return. And so that's what they do in this third season. And as we learn, they have been here for a while now, and they have infected a lot of people. And a lot of people are just living with them in their body. So Fushi, as told by him to him by God, has to face the fact that he kind of lost the war in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, the implication seems to be that people either just don't know or don't care, and the ones that actually affect are, well, I think we'll get to that.
Yes. So the way this works, just to get the mechanics out of the way, is knockers can, if people at a certain point in their life are emotionally weak and wish to end their life, like resign themselves to giving up, basically letting down their mental barriers, whatever, that is the moment where basically knockers enter their body. Also, let's say it that way. That's how the knockers present it in the beginning. That only then they can enter the body. We later learn this is bullshit, because the knockers are full of shit. Like, they lie constantly. They constantly change the game and the rules of the game, which is funny in regards to what a statement the show is trying to make. But, that's how it is presented in the beginning. It's like, hey, once people are calling out to us and say they want to die, we enter their body. And if this persists, and if they actually die, we just take over the body. But even before then, when they're already in their body, in all these moments of weakness, the knockers can take over. That's this half-merged state. They can take over the person's body, can do whatever they want with it, steer it according to their will. And the people have amnesia, they have blackouts, they don't remember what happened to them in that state. And when they die, which can happen through multiple reasons, either because they have uttered the wish, or because they've already thrown themselves off the building or whatever. And once that is over, the knockers take over and fully inhabit that body until that body is destroyed. And then Fushi learns he can just summon the body of that person again. And if their Phi, which is established in the show, is their essence, their soul, if their Phi is still around and has not already moved on to paradise, it can re-enter the body, and then it's basically knocker free, I guess. So that's how it works. And the show presents it to us like this, at least down the road, like this parallel to what Fushi is doing. It's like saying, hey, the knockers are doing this, which was already their mission statement in season 2, to relieve people of pain. They want to get rid of people's bodies. They want to send all the people to paradise, basically killing everyone, because they want people to deal with the pain. They hate bodies. They hate the pain sensation and everything. And they want to get rid of all of these, especially for the humans. I don't remember quite why, if it was really an altruistic thing at some point, or because they couldn't tolerate the pain themselves. Because a lot in this season is also alluding to the fact that the knockers themselves are scared of pain. And that's why they want to get rid of this. And to be able to get rid of all of the humans, or let's say absolve them of their bodies, they have to kill Fushi, because Fushi is the one thing that's, and God, I guess, like the black one, the beholder, whatever you might want to call him, is the one thing that stands in the way that can stop them. So that's their mission statement. And what's what they're trying to do in this season. And their big way they're trying... The previous season, they tried to accomplish it in like a two-way battle. First, they had this plant in the form of Kaku, who was this obvious trap that everyone saw as an obvious trap who watched that show, except for the people in the show. And on the other side of things, they did this big attack on this town of Rendell or whatever it was called, and tried to destroy Fushi. Take all of his bodies away so that he's just an orb, which happened at some point when the trap finally springs. But due to the interference of some other characters, Fushi gets to have a body again and turn the tide. But yeah, in this season, since they're already so ingrained in society now, they say, "Hey, we want to coexist. We're not gonna try to attack you anymore because we've already kind of achieved our goal. So just leave us alone. And it's gonna be fine." Which is obviously a lie, because in the background, at least some of them, and we later learned that not all knockers are on the same page. Some of them are more, let's say, mild-mannered and have like just the wish to support the people around them. Like there's this girl called Michi, who as a child dies in the hospital, and apparently her soul moves on to paradise, and then her body gets inhabited by a knocker, and that knocker just is really like taken by her family, by her sister, by her sisters, and really wants to spend her life with them, and because it loves them and it wants to live that life. And it doesn't want to have anything to do with all the machinations of the other knockers that are central to the religion of the Guardians and everything. So there are these kind of knockers.
I'm
but most
I'm kind of glad that exists, and not that they were just like, oh, it was just one big hive mind all along. Because if it was that, I would just be like, man, come on.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like that's a cool aspect. I get to why it pissed me off in certain regards to what the show is doing with that and how it's trying to make a thesis statement and so on. But the other big part we see, and most only see for the first half, like the stuff with the, oh no, they're also like nice knockers, comes in at the very end. And most of the time we just see the bad side of the knockers, the manipulative side of knockers, in the form mostly of this girl called Mizuha, which is also going to the school that Fushi's new friend Yuki is going to. She's also part of the occult club. She's going through clubs because she's this very talented girl, probably because the knocker has already inhabited her body, which is like the inherited one probably from Hayase and everything. And as we've come to learn this previous seasons, that knocker is an asshole, a manipulative piece of shit. And all of these knockers that belong to the Guardians kind of are. They are trying to still accomplish their mission that they have been doing from the beginning. And also, I guess, kind of abusing their own kind for that. And we see her struggling with her life because her mom is very
controlling, to say the least of things.
She's she's presented as a typical shitty anime mom in the beginning. Like, doesn't care about what her daughter actually wants, uses her as an Instagram trophy, and all that stuff. There's some, wrinkles put into that later where it's like, okay, she did that because she wanted to protect her daughter from the Guardians, because her father, Mizuha's grandfather, is a big central figure in the Guardians, and he wanted to make his daughter, Mizuha's mom, she's called Izumi, I think, wants to make her that part of it as well, and manipulated things so that she would marry a guy that also belonged to the Guardians and everything, and without her knowledge at a certain point, and all of that fucked her up severely. So to protect her daughter from that, she alienated herself from her grandpa, and she tried to make the daughter a person that her daughter could be proud of, like of her achievements and everything. So she probably wouldn't be as, I don't know, as much in danger to become part of the machinations of the Guardians. But that severely backfired, because pushing her daughter so much into a certain direction and being really superfluous about it and everything, and not actually paying attention to what her daughter wants and lying to her, actually throws Mizuha into severe depression, which of course makes her susceptible to the knocker's manipulations. Her body gets taken over. Bad shit happens. She even kills her mom at some point. When the knocker takes over, and we get filled in all of that very piecemeal. Like the first half is a lot of mystery, which I didn't hate in concept, but it's also really jarring how much it like throws you back and forth between different realizations and what the show is saying, what is actually happening. It constantly retcons certain things when it's like, no, this was actually happening. No, this was actually happening, and that gets really, I don't know, tiresome at some point. And yeah, but we have this, and Mizuha is trying to get close to Fushi, trying to have an, I guess, romantic relationship with him, but that is, of course, also enforced by the knocker, because deep down, the knockers still have the goal of defeating Fushi and trying to basically that way fulfill their mission, even though they're pretending they're trying to coexist and everything, which is a lie. Like, they are actively killing people to be able to fully take them over. Like, it's not like they're waiting their time and then, okay, now we can do what we want. No. They're like instigators. They're manipulating people and people around them in a way to make other people more susceptible to the knocker infection. So it's not like this neutral thing that is happening here.
It's so weird because it's like this very vocal minority, as it were, of the knockers, because once they learn Fushi is back there, it's like, oh, well, we got to go after him. But there's like so many others that are just, they're just out there. They're just like, we just want to do our thing and be whatever. But the focus on all of the Guardians knockers in particular is just like, okay, so this small, very hellbent faction is only reinforcing what Fushi thinks and feels about them. And it's like...
Yes, exactly. And I think the worst thing the show does with that is trying to throw shade at the audience in regard. At least that's how it felt to me. It's trying to make this parallel between Fushi and the knockers in regards to ignoring the wishes of the people around them. Like, the knockers are saying, hey, we want the best for all the humans. We want for them to enter paradise because they're only suffering pain in this life and in their bodies, and we just want to have them be rid of the pain. But that is the same thing that the same approach in a way that Fushi is doing. It's like this very superficial approach where it's like, hey, we have these quick fixes for the knockers. It's them. We're just gonna take the people. We're just gonna kill them and put them in paradise and take over their body and so on. And for Fushi, it's like, hey, I have here this nice house for all these people in these peaceful times. I give them money, I give them food, and they will be happy, right? And everything will be fine. So in that regard, that parallel works. Like, they're not really paying attention to what the people actually want and what they actually need. And I get the feeling the knockers are also not that interested in us, and not interested in that. But the show, it feels it's trying to evoke empathy for the knockers, but mostly for the bad ones in the beginning.
Yeah, that's...
And that's kind of like... It's showing us all the bad sides in the beginning, and then at the tail end of this season, he's like, here are the other knockers. Michi, who reveals the knocker identity under the name No, does this by the end, once the main conflict is resolved, I guess. And the knockers and Fushi leaves the knockers to do what they want to do. And her sister and many others are welcoming the concept of knockers and everything, but many others are not, are prejudiced against them and everything. And I feel the show is still kind of rather optimistic here in how little strife results from them, actually. I think this would go worse in our world. Like, hey, here's this race of extraterrestrial beings to an extent who can just infect your body and everything. And would you like to live with them? They can take over at any moment. And to be fair, that's a problematic thing. That's a risk. Yuki at the end is like willingly taking a knocker to convince Mizuha to come with them and everything. And it's still a risk he's taking. That gets alleviated a bit by the end. But I can understand certain people's apprehension in regards to that. But I think it's a bit of a cheat that the show only showed us the bad sides of knockers until Michi/Nono. And expected us to have empathy for them regardless. We had almost 3 entire seasons of knockers being presented as nothing but monsters, and it feels like the show is judging the viewer and says, well, check your prejudice, you species fucks. Sorry, but it's not like you have given us enough information to make an informed decision here. It's not like we saw much of knockers living normal lives until now. Right. Granted, Satoru, the body that God inhibits at a certain point, says as much, but who would believe anything that fucker has to say, because he's also a pathological liar. Also, I get what they're trying to do, drawing a parallel to judging an entire people by a couple of extremist actions of some of their peers, but again, it's not like the show gave us much of a chance to make up our own mind about that. It's like it presented us with the Fox News propaganda anti-knocker broadcast the entire time. And we had no way of looking at a more liberal, left-leaning pro-knocker news channel to realize that most of them just wanted to make the people around them happy and learn to live their own lives. The show is trying to have its cake and eating it too, and I don't like the underhanded manipulative methods it's using to achieving this. So this was something that put me off. It's like the show is withholding information intentionally for a long time to then hit us over the hand with this morality metaphor where it's like, hey, you were judging this species by some of the actions of the bad people that is part of their species. But here, you could have, you should have known that there are good knockers in there because God told told you so. And like, no, first of all, that bitch is a liar most of the time. And second of all, you didn't give us any ability to find that out for ourselves. You just had that person state that and it was like, yeah, should we just accept this as the truth? And you didn't give us any side stories really with the other characters. You made some allusions. Like we knew pretty early on that Michi was a knocker, but she was also like in a moment where it seemed like she was also part of that bad crew for a while. We didn't really see her outside of a conflict situation with the main character, and that was a problem. Like we didn't see any knockers like foregoing their normal lives. We didn't have a conversation with one of the good knockers before the very end. So all of this plays into like a paranoia aspect, I guess.
Yeah,
but still,
we didn't have any choice but to accept they were all evil before this point.
Yes. We didn't have any chance to procure additional information because the show didn't give it to us. They didn't give us that. We just had, it is basically like, well, keep an open mind. Some of them might be good. Yes, but you haven't given us any inclination of believing that. There is no footage of knockers just identified as knockers, which, in the real world parallel, people with different skin color from a different ethnicity or a different country just living normal lives, going about their day, which we could do in normal life. Look at documentaries. I don't know. Look at stuff written by other people, right? To counter maybe preconceived notions and racism and so on. We don't have this ability here. We don't have that option here because the only way we've seen knockers so far is this unified force of strife, of war, of trying to abuse, manipulate people, and trying to fulfill their mission, their goal. So it's just really not fair by the show to expect us to now empathize with the knockers. That's probably one of the things that really pissed me off the most about the show, where it's like, okay, come on, what are we supposed to do here? And yeah, so That was one of the big gripes I had with it. And I guess, again, that gets alleviated a bit by the end to have just Michi in there in general and have it be an interesting aspect. And at least it brings more variety into the Knocker plot thread, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so fucking wonky. Everything, every aspect of the story that relates to the Knockers is super wonky. All the stuff that relates to Fushi trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life, how he's coping with his immortality, and maybe some of his friends not wanting to take part of that. And all of that is really strong from a character writing perspective. The small glimpses we get into the lives of Kai, of Messer, of Hyro, of Tonari in this age, of March, like even of Echo, who's not that much of a character. But every time we get a glimpse of that, it's super interesting. It's very realized. The conversations he has, especially surprisingly, the conversations he has with Messer, who is the most well-adjusted in this timeline for some reason, because he's just so matter of fact.
He's so very comfortable. He's just like, okay, I can just do my thing. I can go get a drink. I can go bet on horses. This is great.
I can have fun with hookers.
Yeah.
So it's super fun. And he is weirdly enough, one of the guys who basically pushes Fushi, gives him a big hint of what is like, hey, maybe just take a good look at your companions for a while instead of getting distracted by all this other bullshit. And once Fushi does that, yeah, guess what? That actually works and that helps. And that brings people forward and everything. So that was really well realized in all of these bits. This conversation with Gugu. Once Gugu tells him, he's like, hey, I might want to return to my hometown, because the distillery is still there, and there are remembrances of Frieren there and my brother, and I feel kind of at home there, so maybe I want to live there. And it, of course, in the beginning, completely shocks Fushi. He did not anticipate this kind of stuff. But the way he comes around to understanding and to empathizing with that, and then actually supporting Gugu in taking on a side job and buying him a plane ticket with that. And he's like, come back whenever you want. Everyone knows is fine with that, and so on. It was great.
Yeah.
It was a really cathartic moment. That was fantastic and it felt really good and everything's like, okay, more of that, please. And then on the other side of things, like 2/3 of the show, at least, are just this weird shit where it's like twist after twist. Oh, Mizuha killed her mother, and then her classmates are suddenly taken over by Knockers, and she's trying to get close to Fushi, and he's not listening to her, what she needs, which, hey, is one of the more interesting aspects of this, but nothing really results from that until the very end. Because he's like hellbent on his mission, which I guess feeds into the, hey, listen to the people who actually mean something to you. But Mizuha also doesn't really mean something to him. She's not one of his long-term friends. She's inhabited by this Knocker who was part of his big enemy.
She definitely just exists.
Yes, and she wants to have this relationship, probably also spurred on by her Knocker, because it will always wanted that relationship to Fushi to take away his shapes and so on. She doesn't really... I'm not sure the wish to be in Fushi's life and to have a romantic relationship with him, to have a close relationship to him, is really her wish. And
no.
But to her, it feels like she must do that for some reason. It is expected of her. It's the thing that the Guardians expect of her. Her mother, her fake mother expects of her and everything. And her fake father, I guess, at some point. And all of that could be interesting, but it's so shoddily realized. It's so slapped together. And then you get, as if this wasn't enough, you have some other weird Knocker characters like Funa who don't really do that much and are just in there for shock value at a certain moment. You have fucking Mimori, who is technically an interesting character after the Knocker leaves her body. But before that, you have this weirdly freaky storyline with her and her lolicon brother that is so out there and fucking weird that I don't know why it's in this show. It's so off-putting, and there's nothing gross, technically super gross in there. Like, they don't have a sexual relationship or something like that. thankfully.
It's just strange.
Yeah, I guess he's the good kind, if that exists, of lolicon, who's like obsessed just wants a little sister he can take care of. It doesn't help that when he thinks about, finally I have a little sister, we see his mind, and then there's all these anime and eroge in there and everything. Eroge in there and everything was like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
But he, deep down, apparently he's a good guy. He just wants to take care of her. He wants to help her. He wants to make her happy and everything. And weirdly enough, he's one of the characters who actually pretty quickly realizes, or pretty early realizes what is going on. That her sister is not his real sister after she died, because she threw herself off the roof because she was depressed because of her also shitty mom. Which, there are a lot of shitty anime moms in this, or scumbag anime moms in
There are at least 2.
SBAB, I guess. But no, SAB and scumbag anime dads also exists, which would be SAD. Yes, okay, let's go with these acronyms for the future. SAP and SAD. The duality of shitty anime parents. So she throws herself off the building, gets revived, fully taken over by her knocker, and at that point is someone completely different. One you would expect her brother would like more, because she's much more forward. She is not as solemn, not as introverted, not as close-minded, and not as sad all the time and everything. She's like suddenly this really happy kid. But her brother, Hirotoshi, is like, that's not my sister. That's not real. I want the real Mimori back. That's not the that's not the real person. Which is a really valid argument in the face of what the show is trying to say at certain points, where it's like, well, what damage is it doing when the knockers are taking the over the body of an already dead person? Well, it's pretending to be a person to the people that love that person, to be a person that they're not. Like, it's a scam.
Yeah, and of course, her parents don't care, but Hirotoshi is the one who actually, so of course he'd notice. And of course that makes sense for him.
Yes. So in theory, that storyline is really interesting, because, it has finally a character that's like, no, I don't want this version. That is not the real version of the person I love. So that's cool. The problem is the way this is set up is like, it's this weird horror show, and there's dismemberment, and because, they fight the knocker, and the little sister Mimori is just attacking Fushi with a fucking grass cutter, and it becomes this weird, like I said, horror movie thing. And it's so wacky. It's so wacky. And I already had a problem with that in season 2, where it suddenly, from a very serious first season, switched the tone to being very goofy, especially when Bon was involved. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, if they switched to the tone from season 1 to the tone of season 3, that would have been so jarring that I would have dropped the show. So I should probably be happy that season 2 eased us into this a bit, because season 3 is so loud compared to the first season. It's so over the top. It's so wacky. It's so wonky. Like, all the the characters, the people taken over by knockers, having like these huge grimaces on their face and talking in like this really menacing theatrical way, and like smiling all the time. And like fucking Freddy Krueger out there, and it's nonsense. You can't take it seriously, but the show kind of expects you to do so. So, and then you have a moment where Knocker Mimori fucking ties up her brother and whips him. And it's so fucking weird.
It's so what, dude? Like, oh my god.
It's so fucking wacky and stupid and wonky, and that is all of the storyline with the knockers. All of it. All of it is just this weird alien thing that it feels like it belongs in a different show. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels like, okay, we still have to have a central antagonist for the story to work, so we need to bring the knockers back. No, all the strongest parts of this third season are the parts that don't have knockers in them. that don't in any way relate to that part of the storyline. So you could have done an entire season without that. You could have just said, okay, the Knockers are dead now. Now this is all about Fushi trying to figure out how to live in this new age when all of the characters he spent time with now should be happy because they have normal lives without strife. But hey, suddenly mental problems figure into that. Different forms of struggle figure into that Fushi has not been familiar with yet. So he needs to learn to deal with that and have him learn dealing with that bit character by character by character. You have so many characters now in your Circle of Friends cast for Fushi that you could have done an episode for each of them and then have some soul searching with Fushi on the side. Have the stuff with God on the side, who has decided he wants to now reside in the body of a boy, and after 4 years are over, he's going to forget everything and he's just going to live his life as that boy. He's going to give up all of his power, and he offers Fushi to take over his power and become the ultimate creator and become God, basically, can do whatever he wants to make his friends happy, to make his people happy. And that is enough. That is enough food for this story.
Yeah.
That would have been great. That would have been enough. You didn't need to throw the Knockers in there again.
Well, apparently we had to sell chapters of the manga.
I guess. And then it's a distraction. And it's so, it distracts from what I really wanted from this season. Don't get me wrong. There's still interesting bits in there when it comes to the Knockers. Like, some of the stuff has some interesting rings to it, like all the depression stuff and learning more about why Mizuha's mom did what she did, even though I still feel like she did a really shitty job, was interesting. It leads to some really cool fights by the end of the show, which we, I feel like Drive really got a handle on things in the animation department in this season. Like, it looked much worse in season 2, and by the end of this, we get a cool school fight, and especially a cool one-on-one fight between Fushi and the Mizuha Knocker. Their battle at the end of this was fucking awesome.
Well, they had backup for this season, so I'm sure that helped them out. Studio Mascot came in to assist, so I have serious doubts that Drive still would have been able to do it on their own, but,
Yes, I probably. But hey, the fact is, it looks much better.
Yes.
And looks like we get two really solid action scenes, like the stuff where Mizuha has created this doll of one of Fushi's discarded bodies and filled it with Knockers, and then that invades the school to turn all of Fushi's friends and all of the school people, everyone, into Knockers, then probably have them go out in the world and then transmit more and more Knockers. Like, they go full force by the end, which trying to just forcefully taking over everybody, which, betrays the earlier statement of, I don't know, God and the show and whatever to, oh no, they all want to just coexist and so on. No, that's absolutely not true. And, then they have this fight against this puppet in the school, and Tonanari is there, and Aiko is there, Yuki's sister, who for some reason becomes the MVP of the show at some point because she's she's so competent and knows what to do, even though she's a pretty young girl. Which, okay, more power to you. And some other of the minor classmates and so on. And they have this fight against this Terminator version of Fushi, and blast him with exploding arrows and everything. And it's a really harrowing fight, and we have some back and forth and everything. And that was cool. And like I said, then we have the final fight against Mizuha at a certain point. And it was also really cool. And there are some scenes in this. There's this haunting scene where Mizuha falls to her death and is lying next to her mom, who already fell into the same chasm, and their arms kind of lie on top of each other, and they lie in intertwining pools of blood and so on. And it's haunting. And there was just some cool harrowing moments in this that related to the Knocker storyline, where you feel like, okay, this could have been something. The problem is, it still always feels like a distraction from what would have made the season really good. And every time we're going back to the actual, friend characters, and we taking some interest in them and what they're doing. I cheered when some of them appeared at the school to help out. I was like, oh, finally, fuck, yes, please. So every time they do something with that, the show this season really shines. Every time they go to the knockers shit, it's just a bother.
It's tiresome.
Yes, and also the show is trying to, hey, listen to everything Satoru is saying, like the beholder god, and he's trying to tell Fushi to give up and everything, and immediately it's clear that guy's full of shit. There's some reverse psychology shenanigans. He's trying to make Fushi to form attachments and then actually be able to do what he's supposed to do, and it's just like, why are you spending time on this? We know this is bullshit. And by the end, we're supposed to feel kind of sad for him when he gives up all his memories and there's a tear rolling down his face once he forgets the image of Fushi. Because, let's be clear, this show is also about parenting, of course, in more ways than one. And he is kind of Fushi's deadbeat dad. And it's really funny because Marge tells him that as basically that at certain point she's like, I was his mom, what the fuck did you do? And she's right.
I taught him how to walk and how to eat and how to talk.
Yeah.
And
Marge rocks.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, you did.
Yes, exactly. And the show tries to paint us like, well, no, Fushi needed to do that to make his own experiences, and it's kind of like a whole religion thing because, you know, at least Christianity is like, well, God is omnipotent, but also he doesn't interfere with humans anymore because free will, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, mysterious way. Fuck you.
I mean, Christianity also makes God out to be infallible. The beholder is not that.
Yes. Though I feel like the show is sometimes trying to paint him that way in the way that it's like, hey, it was all this plan and it worked out, so you get it. So, no. No! Don't give me that shit! I won't accept this. This is dumb. So, I didn't feel much for that part of the storyline either. So, it's okay. I get what they're doing. They also have this weird scene where Fushi turns into a sea turtle and gives birth, and that feels very weird at first, but it makes sense, comes back in a positive way when he's actually when he's at the moment where he needs to realize that he needs to let his friends live their own lives, that he can't just control it. And it's this nice metaphor when all these little turtles that he gave birth to suddenly run towards the ocean, and he tries to protect them from everything, but he does that because he doesn't want to let them go, and he is afraid they will get hurt and everything. But they want to go to the sea. It's in their nature. They want to live their own lives. And that's like the parallel to what he's supposed to realize about his friends and everything. So that worked. That was fun. So, yeah, there are some good parts in this. There are some good metaphors in here. There's some good parallels to real life in there. I just feel like, cut out all that knocker shit. Like, and you get such a much stronger season of this.
Yeah, there's all that. And I'm a little confused by the ending because the show just sort of ends. Like, we have a little bit of resolution and then hard cut to ending. And I don't know. I'm not certain on this. While you were talking, I was trying to research this a little bit. I don't know if parts of the story were told out of order, because looking at the chapters for the manga, there's like 60 chapters after this. I don't know.
40, I think. I think the
40. I was counting wrong. But yeah,
yes.
I don't know if some of that is epilogue. I don't know if some of it is like another story, because some of the chapter titles are not translated, and I'm not about to go do that for like 20 of them. But it's not clear, because looking at like the cover for some of the later volumes, like, yeah, you still see some of the other characters there, but there's one where you see some new characters, and then it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Wasn't this the end of the story?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, there is still 40 chapters left, and I think the way it looks, and I took a peek at the very first, the very next chapter, and it looks that is set in the far future, which is something I expected from the beginning. I said, like, okay, we're going to be in medieval times or pre-medieval times, whatever. Then we're going to go to current day, and then we're going to be have a storyline set in the future. And I think that's what is going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that that Fushi is gonna be in that, and judging from what is happening at the end of this season, all his friends are gonna accompany him. They decided to be immortal alongside with him. They want to live their full lives, but all of them want to get revived once they die, so they can stay with Fushi. So that's nice, and I really like the ending there. Him sitting there with Marge, who is like still alive after 60 years have passed. After we had the initial time jump of 3 years, and everyone else is pretty much dead and has already been revived. And then they go into the shadows and move on to have new adventures, whatever, throughout time. And I think the final 40 chapters are going to be set in the far future. Maybe all of them are still there. Maybe some of them didn't want to get revived anymore. We will find out. But I think if we'll get another season of this, if they want to do one, they can. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't hate the ending if this of this anime, of this season, if this was the ending of the show. I think this would be fine because it wraps up the hopefully the central conflict with the Knockers. Please don't bring them back in the fourth season.
That's what I worry about.
I mean, the Knocker inhabiting Mizuha's dad promises as much, right? They're like, hey, Fushi, we will see each other later down the road. We're just in the middle of our life. So that could happen. I hope it doesn't. But if it doesn't, like if we can consider this the ending of it, it feels kind of like a wrap-up point for that, because now the humans and the Knockers kind of coexist. They have found some methods to block Knockers getting into your body when you don't want it to, before you're dead. And, so there can be a coexistence between those two species, two species. And we have resolved the central conflict of Fushi not being sure what to do with his life, because he doesn't accept the power hand down from God. He doesn't want to be the creator. He just wants to live alongside his friends, his immortal life. And that's it. So that feels like a solid ending to the story. So of course I'm interested to see how we continue from this, but I would also be fine if this was the ending, actually. That would be okay.
Yeah, same. I'm just frustrated because season 1 started off so strong. It was really good, and then it's just been this gradual backslide. There's been good parts, yes, but it doesn't necessarily outweigh the weird or stupid or just outwardly bad parts of the story, and it's just like
yeah, exactly. A lot of this is just wonky, and I wonder, I mean, most of that is story related, and that is in a manga. I don't feel like some of it is execution as well, in terms of pacing in season 2, in terms of which you could have changed in an anime adaptation, in terms of animation quality and everything, of course. But a lot of that is also in the story choices, especially bringing back the Knockers over and over again, especially in the third season. They were really to the story's detriment. So, yes, I still like this season. And I think the reason for that is the trajectory it took. If it was gonna be the same thing that it was for the first half, I probably would have hated this. But I feel like the season gets much stronger after the halfway point, and so it left me with a definitely more positive feeling towards the end. And it's always good to have a very shaky start and then have a strong ending than the other way around. So that's why it probably, after wrapping this up and the final moments, I got emotional. I was like, oh, this is really nice and everything. And I really liked where it ended up for this season, for what the season did. Everyone saying goodbye in certain ways and so on. So, and I assume there's going to be, if we get another season, there's going to be an iteration of that in one way or another. There's going to be a book into all of this. So I'm interested to see that. But I also, if we don't get one, I would be fine with this ending. It's okay. Like, it's not season 1. Of course not. Season 2 already wasn't that. Of course, we hoped that it would be a return to form. It wasn't. But it's also not like a complete downfall or anything. I feel like this is on par with season 2, just in different ways. It has the same amount of flaws. It's just different flaws. And I feel it finishes stronger than season 2 does. I feel like season 2 ending with the battle and everything just was a bit of a drag. And I feel like this season felt like it was building. It worked better towards the end than it did in the beginning. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, if you still haven't watched it haven't watched To Your Eternity, feel free to do so. You know now with what caveats we recommending this. It's still an interesting story. It's still a very unique story about an immortal person trying to live their life and trying to realize what they want, what the people they cherish want, and trying to learn to empathize with people and everything. And yes, I would like to get this back for its final run of the 40 chapters, see them adapted to 1 season, 1.5, or whatever. John, where can people watch it?
We can watch it on Crunchyroll. But yeah, I agree that the ending was definitely stronger than its start. But I just wonder how it's going to carry that momentum forward into these last 40 chapters. So, we'll see if that happens. And I'm sure we will, even if we don't watch all of it, we'll at least talk about it if it gets adapted at some point. So please look forward to that.
Yes. This is, but at least we know this is not going to be, in contrary to its name, an eternity of a story. We now know if there's more, it's only going to be 40 chapters. But yeah, I'm also interested to find out. I hope we're going to get this. I want to see the finale of the story. I want to see what the author wanted, what the author's final statement is. I don't want to read the manga for that. I would like to see it in animated form, as mixed as the production values are. But yes, I hope we will get to see Fushi and his friends one more time. If not, that's also okay. But it would be nice to get a final to have a final meetup with them again, because these characters are pretty fun and awesome.
And from that, we go on another adventure. Hooray! Beyond Journey's End. Woo! We're back to Frieren. Kind of just picking right up where we left off, where Frieren, Fern, and Stark are heading towards Ende, and they have no money, and they need to stop and find work. Oh no. But man, friggin' this show it continues being absolutely just food for the eyes with the animation budget, man.
Bad House.
Bad House. Like, yeah, they are bad.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I feel like the most impressive thing are the backdrops in this still. Like, the world is so well realized. It is so pretty. And the color work and everything. We have a couple of action scenes in this, but it's not as action heavy as the first season was towards its end with the exam. That was pretty action heavy second half, I guess, or last third of the show. We don't have that in this. We have a bit of an like 2 episodes, I guess, of high action in this, where we get some real Sakuga moments. Just going fucking insane.
But we still have a couple of moments sprinkled throughout.
Yes,
like,
a couple of battles against dragons and whatnot. Yeah.
Like in this, we have this episode here where Fern and Frieren have their powers nullified by these crystals, and they find a dragon, and the strategy is run as fast as you can.
Yeah. And I mean, that works out.
I mean, Stark is like, I can't fight this thing, so let's go.
Yeah, and we have a bit of character development, of course, in the in this. First of all, I wanted to highlight the soundtrack again because I think the soundtrack is fucking incredible.
Yes.
It's so good. It already was good, so good in the first season. I forgot how good it was. I got reminded over and over again in this season. It's just, my eyes watered up so because the soundtrack was so fucking good in certain moments. It's just, one of the best aspects of the show, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we have some neat character development in here, mostly between Stark and Fern, who are like, there's like this awkwardness between them, because there is definitely some not well realized romantic tension between them yet, but that's definitely what they're building towards, right? I mean, they go on a date in this.
They're so into each other, come on.
Yes, I mean, like, first of all, Frieren interprets the awkwardness between Fern and Stark as Stark having trouble with being in the party, but, you know, it results from him and Fern actually caring a lot for each other. At this point, you could still say maybe in a platonic way, even though they haven't fully realized it themselves, but it is definitely like down the road. There's this episode where he just to counter Fern's weird moods, he's just inviting her to a date without really thinking about it, and that catches her really off guard. But it turns out she really wants that. She really is looking forward to that, and I guess the problem with that is Stark is too fixated on then trying to give her a good time that he does stuff that is not really, that he wouldn't really do if he was doing it himself or stuff like that. Like if he was planning the day or whatever. He does it because Frieren recommends stuff to him, because he's like, hey, what does Fern actually like? Like, I'm oblivious to this shit. It's nice that he realizes that, I guess. And Frieren had like a tutorial from Heiter in regards to that. He like hammered it into her brain. This is what she likes. This is what she doesn't like. So please remember that. So she like conveys all of that to Stark, and
the few good bits of advice from Heiter.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to have been a rather good dad for Fern until Frieren entered the picture. So he didn't do a shitty job.
No.
So yeah, but you know, he then tries to fulfill that, but he's not really interested in that. He's just basically taking her to these places he thinks that Fern will like, but she actually wants to spend time with him and to get to know more about him. And that kind of resolves itself by the end when they actually start talking to each other, when they are at this one place that coincidentally enough also was like an important place that Himmel and Frieren shared. Of course, there's some parallels to her relationship to Himmel and to the relationship between Fern and Stark. Because there was definitely some, I guess, somewhat romantic tension between Himmel and Frieren in a way, which she maybe realized too late once he was gone.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want that for Stark and Fern. So she's kind of egging them on to a degree. And yeah, they have this nice talk and everything, and they laugh about certain things. There's this problem where they always, when they hang out, they only talk about Frieren, because it's like the one thing they have in common that they share and that they kind of think the same about. Like, they always talk about her flaws and what stuff annoys them a bit about her.
I mean, they're constantly around her, so it stands to reason.
And she's, to an extent, she's the most quirky member of this, definitely making that clear in this season as well. Like, Frieren could not say yes fast enough to the reward of a spell that lets you scratch the itchy part on your back. So, that's her. Fern has to do a lot of micromanagement. Like, she's definitely the mom of the party, even though she maybe doesn't always want it to be. But yeah, you know, and once they realize, okay, there's actually, like, we can talk about more things than that. Then their bond strengthens, and I feel like that was one of the more interesting character development parts of this season. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we got a bit of lore sprinkled in between. We learn a bit about Schlacht the Omniscient, the Demon King's confidant, and how he was bested by the hero of the South. Well, almost. No, he was bested by him, but the hero of the South was also killed. We never learned that guy's name, right? Did we ever does the hero get named?
I don't believe so.
We learned that their old party didn't kill all of the 7 sages of destruction, which were the most powerful demons in League with the Demon King, I guess. Some were also slain by the hero of the South, who could see the future and knew that Himmel would visit Frieren and recruit her to save the world. But yeah, we never learn his name. We get a couple of nice side-offs with Count that... where I didn't understand why he had his name. Didn't make much sense to me, but okay. But yeah, we have this side thing of them looking for a hot spring that has a nice side bit, that has a nice thing where they fight a 3-headed lizard. And Frieren really gets to show off her experience and strategic skills by having Stark unwittingly play the bait by running away, and she and Fern attacking it from the air. Truly brilliant and unique tactic. I also love how she slowly and thoroughly explains the super complicated plan to Fern in the air while Stark is running for his life. It's it was a really good bit.
If it works, it works.
Yeah. We have the rendezvous stuff, the date stuff, which is an important part. We enter this new area, the Northern Plateau, where we learn there are a lot of strong monsters, and the people who are living here have to deal with that constantly. We have this nice thing with this nice side story with a dwarf called Fuzz, who is really into this liquor, which turns out to be the shittiest liquor in all of the kingdoms and whatever. But it's still fun to have bad liquor with friends, I guess, and laugh together. So it was worth the trouble of getting getting that for him and everything. And in general, we have like this resonance moment in the season again, where Frieren was experiencing something with their old crew, and that helps her out, helps her out in this journey, and also guiding her party in a specific way and showing them things that they wouldn't have necessarily had without that. And also she coming to a new understanding of what that part of her old journey meant to her, like chasing after a cat with Himmel in the same town where Stark and Fern have her date and everything. When they had their date, I was so fucking on the edge of my seat when Stark runs around like he always does, and she really dresses up nicely, and she stands before him and he says nothing, and he just turns around and goes away, and I'm sitting in front of my TV and I'm tell her she looks good, Stark, you idiot. It was so upsetting.
I just love the lead up to that. How does she phrase it? She says it you're ignoring me. You're such an inconsiderate jerk. And he's just all right, how about we go on a date? Okay. What do you mean, okay? What? Yeah. God.
It was definitely one of the most fun episodes. The date episode. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
We meet some characters that we met in previous seasons. We met Wirbel. In the beginning, he tried to recruit Stark. Stark is, of course, with him because his journey is with Frieren and with Fern. And we later, which I guess is one of the more important parts, get reacquainted with Methode and Genau. I think we met both of them in the exam arc, right?
Yeah, briefly.
Pretty sure we did. Yes, when they were hanging around Seria and everything. We get some nice insight into especially Genau's character, which I liked, who seems very cold most of the time, but it just seems to not be a very emotional guy in general. There are definitely underlying feelings, though, that shine through in his words. For example, even though he says he doesn't have a fondness for his hometown, it still saddens him to see it destroyed by demons and its citizens slaughtered. He also wonders why these people had to die instead of him. These people who didn't choose to fight. If anyone should die, it should be the first-class mages like him who actually chose a life of battle. So that was nice. And he's only staying in... They enter his village, like Frieren and Stark and Fern as well, and they realize all these people have been slaughtered by demons, and they're trying to find the demons and destroy them and everything. And we have some nice conversations between these characters, which I guess they didn't get to do during the exam arc that much. For example, I really like that Stark instinctively gets Genau. Like, both of them let their village get destroyed by demons, even though neither of them were in the position to do something about it, because Genau was not on the other side of the world when the news came in or whatever, and Stark was still a little kid. But they still share that self-imposed burden of responsibility for this event, for this happening. So they have like this immediate connection, and they really gel with each other. Like, they really form a connection because of that. And I really like that. Like, Genau says he's only staying in the village because he thinks he has to. It's not because he is sad or angry. In fact, he says he doesn't feel anything. And I don't think that is actually true, which is pretty much clear by the end. He's definitely at least feeling something for his dead partner. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen for the demon's trick, Revolta's trick, with the disguised demon child. And I think he meant it when he said his partner met a magnificent end by protecting a child. Even though Serie interprets it differently, I think she's making fun of that and calls him like one of the worst people. But I think at that moment, Genau actually meant what he said. I think he kind of admired his partner for doing that to a degree. He just hated him for like losing his life, but I don't think he actually feels like that his partner threw his life away. So
yeah, I don't think he ever really resented him. Just I think it's more that he resented himself for not being able to do what he could.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, and that is really cool. I loved Methode gets immediately obsessed with Frieren, and Frieren has to be very steadfast on Methode not petting her, but immediately gives in when Methode hands her a weird spell as payment. Fern is so jealous when Methode hugs her.
She's just got this look on her face like, what are you doing touching her?
She's so upset. It's incredible.
Absolutely seething, molding.
Yes. Which comes back when Methode suggests she will hang around as a priest and help them on their further journey through the northern plateau. And Fern is like, nope, that's not gonna happen. Get out of here, you succubus.
You're done. Be gone.
Yes.
Be gone, thought.
Yes, it was really, really funny. But yeah, in that village, we get our big action scenes, like the fight against Revolte, who is like the main demon guy with 4 arms, who Stark and Genau fight. And on the other side of things, we have 2 small, lesser demons, Solide and Hemmung, who fight Frieren, Fern, and Methode, which is also a cool fight, don't get me wrong. But it's more of like a stealth sniper battle or whatever, and the fight between Stark, Genau, and Revolte is like the big action blowout, hyper fluid action choreography. Like, I love that fight. Like, it's such an active camera, great animation, superb soundtrack. Just how I like my fight scenes. It's just amazing from beginning to end. Like, my favorite moment is when Stark intentionally takes on one of Revolte's blows head on, which he was not supposed to do, as instructed by Genau, but to give Genau an opening. And also Genau just sprouting dark wings he's able to cut things with. Badass team.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah, so awesome. Also good now, immediately recognizing and commending Stark as a skilled warrior. It's the weirdest bromance, but it's awesome.
It's like it's so awesome how well they get on.
Yes, really that moment where he just where Stark opens up, creates that opening for him. He cuts off the tail of cuts off the tail of Revolta, and then it's like, Stark, you are a skilled warrior, and we're like, yeah, yeah, he is. Goddamn. He might have been a coward, but goddamn, he's an awesome fighter. Yeah, that was really awesome. It was really great. So yeah, I love this. There is not that much more in the season. It's only 10 episodes. We have like a small bit after that where they get to this bridge, which is being built by this dwarf builder called Gaen. And he takes took 200 years for that one bridge, which seemed a bit small for that, even when he was working mostly alone. 20 years, okay, but 200? And he had help too, at times.
Maybe he's just got a bad sense of time. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice that his village got rebuilt, though. Probably because he wasn't the one building it, that slacker.
We also forgot about the part where the party goes to the Norm Company's Fortress City. And it turns out that Himmel had accrued quite the debt. And, well, since he's not around to be collected on anymore, Frieren is apprehended for debt evasion. Woo! And she helps do like 300 years of work in a silver mine, and that buys her freedom. Meanwhile, Frieren and Stark are plotting like, okay, how are we gonna break her out? We need a plan. And they start scheming, and here comes Frieren like, yeah, I'm all set. And they're both like, what do you mean you're all set? You were basically put in jail. And she's like, no, we're all set.
Yeah. It was thankfully over very quickly, but it was very funny.
Yeah. God, yeah. Some of the comic relief in this series is just really good.
Yes, and it's a very good mix. Like, we have a nice bit of comedy, we have a nice bit of character development, we have some nice bits of action in there, world building. It's all this really good mix, and that's what the first season already was. Like, Frieren is just like this perfectly balanced fantasy anime, and I love it to bits. I thought the second season was really fun, even though it's not necessarily happening that much in regard to plot or action. Like in the first season, I feel like we had a bit more due to the setup and then the exam and everything. It's more like episodic in this, even more episodic than the first season, except for maybe the end part. But I really liked that. I thought it was a nice interjection, and it seems like the next season is gonna be more, hey, we're gonna fight some demons, some leftover demons, because this, and the teaser in the final episode, next season will feature Denken, who was also part of the exam. And apparently he's out to destroy the last and strongest remaining Sage of Destruction, Macht, who turned Denken's homeland into gold. And I assume our gang will join him in that endeavor, which is cool. Like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, so it's probably gonna be good fighting time, and we're gonna have some more Denken, which is also nice, and probably some other characters. Maybe Zain will make an appearance finally again, which is also kind of like teased, because that is what Frieren says when Methode suggests she's gonna accompany them as a priest. She's like, aside from Fern being staunchly against that, but she's saying like, no, that spot is reserved for Zain. And because he's the final party member. So we'll see when he will turn up again. So yeah. Super. God, I hope we don't have to wait too long for this, John. I love this season. How did you feel about it?
That was great. Frieren started off strong and continues to be great. And I like with when we were talking about Fate a few moments ago, just give me more of it. But I want Madhouse to take their time, because I don't think they took their time with Liar Game. Let's just say that. Okay. So, if we could, Whenever more of this comes along, I will welcome it with open arms. I haven't even looked up how far along this is into the manga, so I don't know how much is left I assume there is a decent chunk. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. But yes, more. Yes. Bring it on whenever it's ready.
Before we leave you and with where you can watch it and everything, there are not that many German names or new German names in this season. So I only picked 4 because they had to somewhat relate to what the characters are or do, and most of these don't. Like, there's this dude called Count Dach, and Dach means roof, and I don't know why he has that name, because his house has a big roof. I don't fucking know. So, of course, I couldn't pick him. And so, yeah, that's why I didn't pick him. And so I picked 4 German names for John to determine what they mean in English. So let's play a quickfire round of How Kojima is that German name?
I did not look any names up this time around, I promise.
That's good. So I have, let's make it 5 names in this that you could maybe determine what they are by the characters, what they are. The first character is the demon, the Schlacht, the omniscient, trusted confidant of the Demon King. Schlacht. What could that mean?
Schlacht, omniscient. Knowledge?
It's not relating to knowledge. It's more relating to his, I guess, what he probably mostly did as a demon, as in fighting. Where does fighting happen? Or what is another name for a big fight?
Oh, a war?
Close enough. Smaller than that?
A conflict?
Maybe even small. Very punctual. One very focused, one occurrence of a fight. But bigger than a small fight.
Bigger than a battle, about.
Yes.
A battle,
Very
okay.
A battle. Yes. Schlacht would mean battle makes the most sense. Yes. The second one. Fuss the dwarf. He is obsessed with liquor. What is liquor sometimes being kept in? How is it transported?
In a keg?
Yeah. Okay. Keg or barrel.
Okay.
Either way, that works. So, okay, yes, barrel for Fuss. Then we have one of Revoltes. I didn't pick his name because I don't know why he has that. It means revolt, of course, or rebellion, I guess, to an extent. But I don't know why he has that, and also it's very clear what it means because it's the same word in English.
I was to say, gee, I wonder what that word is.
The other one is close too. This is probably the easiest one. It's one of his demon henchmen. The small child one. It's called Jung. What does that mean?
Yeah, Jung. Yeah, youth?
Close enough. It means just young.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Then we have the penultimate one. The dwarf, Gehen. I would have expected him to be called Brücke, because that is bridge in German, but that's not what Gehen means, of course. What could it mean? It relates to his bridge in a way.
Builder, construction.
Think about what you do when you cross a bridge.
You walk across it?
Correct. Yes, it means to walk.
Okay, okay, sure.
I don't know why they picked that name for him, but I guess it makes kind of sense.
Yeah, okay.
And the last one, and we didn't really get acquainted with that character yet, so it's maybe a bit hard, but also it's one of the simplest name, which makes absolute sense for a demon. It's Macht, which we'll see in the next season, properly introduced, I guess. So what could that mean?
I feel like I've heard this word at some point in passing. Doesn't it?
Probably in Xenosaga.
Yeah.
I think one of those is William zur Macht. One of those subtitles was that.
Isn't it evil, bad? Nah.
No, it relates to another attribute of most of the demons we've met so far. They're pretty...
Oh, wait. Now power?
Yes.
Yeah,
power, might.
Der Will zur Macht. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, power or might, and both works. And yes, that's it. Well done, John. You pretty much cut all of them again.
Wow.
And with that... Yay! I'm looking forward to doing more. Maybe we get a bit more good names I can use in the next season. But for for now, this is enough. Yeah. So where can people watch it, John?
Depending on where you live, it might be on Netflix, but it's mostly available on Crunchyroll. So I would be willing to bet where you live, it's probably available on there.
And please do that. This is an amazing show. It's probably one of the best fantasy anime you will ever see for now. Let's hope it continues that trend. Mm-hmm. And we're looking forward to talking about the next season.
Yes, sir.
And that is a wrap on the 180th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our podcast is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Find us where all the podcasts live, but also check out animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Please leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice if you can. Follow us on the socials or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Mach's gut.
So long, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Burning brightly or sizzling out?
And this little treasure hunt turned into a war.